What's up, guys? I'm Cassie.
I'm Sara.
And today we're talking about the murderous Black Widow, Belle Gunness.
Serial killer Belle Gunness married Mad Sorensen in 1884, and they owned a candy store which burned to the ground. Their home had also burned down shortly after and were granted insurance payouts both times. Belle and Mads had 2 babies in their home, and they died from inflammation of the large intestine, which can be a result from poisoning. Belle had taken insurance out on both of the children and collected a large insurance check after each death. The neighbors gossiped about the babies because they have never seen Belle pregnant with any child. Her husband had also taken 2 life insurance policies out on himself, and on July 30th, 1890, both policies were active at the same time, as one would expire that day and the other began. He died of cerebral hemorrhage that day. Belle explained that he had come home with a headache and she provided him with quinine powder for the pain. She later checked on him and he was dead. She collected the money from both the expiring life insurance policy and the one that went into effect that day and moved to LaPorte, Indiana, and bought a pig farm. Belle married Peter Gunness on April 1st, 1902, and the following week, while he was out of the house, his infant daughter died of unknown causes in Belle's care. Peter died 8 months later due to a skull injury. Belle explained that Peter reached for something on a high shelf and a meat grinder fell on him, smashing his skull. The district coroner convened a coroner's jury suspecting murder, but nothing came of the case.
Belle Gunness, she married Mads. They had a candy store and it burned to the ground. Pretty positive she at least burned it. I don't know about him.
I don't know, but yeah, she's definitely behind that.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, their house burnt down.
With their babies in it.
And
when I do this, nobody knows if she actually had children.
Who knows if they were actually her babies, because I read somewhere that I don't think she was ever pregnant, but I think the bitch took kids.
She might have, and I think
and
I saw
passed
that on
them off as her own.
Minds. He died, right? So he came home with a headache. She gave him some quinine powder,
which I read is for treating malaria, and I heard it's illegal. So
we're pretty sure she intended to kill him.
She poisoned his ass.
Got his money.
His 2. One was expiring. He died that same.
She finessed that so well.
She died. He died that same day, and his other one started that same day.
Well, that's why she probably killed him. Because she knew, obviously.
But
so this lady's crazy. And then she married Peter Gunness, killed his child. We're not saying for sure, but I'm pretty sure she did this because she's just racking up the dough at this point.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then Peter died 8 months later because a meat grinder fell on his noggin. Why would you keep a meat grinder up on the top shelf?
Who knows? It was
probably actually beat him over the head with it, and then said,
probably like that bitch probably could have built a house on a big piece of land and still have money left over.
But instead, she just bought a pig farm.
A pig farm. Belle began placing marriage ads in Chicago newspapers in 1905. Not long after, one of her ads was answered by a Wisconsin farmhand, Henry Gerholt. After traveling to LaPorte, Henry wrote to his family saying that he liked the farm, was in good health, and requested that they send him seed potatoes. When they failed to hear from him after that letter, the family contacted Belle. She told them Henry had gone off with horse traders to Chicago. John Moe of Minnesota is another man who answered Gunness's ad in 1906. After they had corresponded for several months, John traveled to LaPorte and withdrew a large amount of cash. Although no one ever saw John again, a carpenter who did occasional work for Belle observed that his trunk remained in her house along with more than a dozen others, including Henry's trunk and fur overcoat. Belle's criminal activities came to light in April 1908 when the Gunness farmhouse in LaPorte, Indiana burnt to the ground. In the ruins of the farmhouse, authorities found the bodies of a headless adult woman, initially identified as Belle Gunness, and her 3 children. Further investigation discovered partial remains of at least 11 additional people on the Gunness property. LaPorte police authorities were contacted by Azel Helglian, who had found correspondence between his brother Andrew and Belle. The letters included petitions for him to relocate to LaPorte, to bring money, and to keep the move a secret. A visit by Azel to the Gunness farm with a former hired hand led to attention being paid to soft depressions in what had been made into a pen for hogs. After briefly digging one of the depressions in the lot, a burlap sack was found that contained 2 hands, 2 feet, feet, and one head, which Helglian recognized to be those of his brother. Immediate inspection of the site revealed that there were dozens of such slump depressions in the Gunness yard, and further digging and investigation at the site yielded multiple burlap sacks containing torsos and hands, arms hacked from the shoulders down, masses of human bone wrapped in loose flesh that dripped like jelly from trash-covered depressions that proved to be graves. In each case, the body had been butchered in the same manner, the body decapitated, the arms removed at the shoulders, and the legs severed at the knees. Blunt trauma and gashes characterized the skulls that were found that had been separated from their bodies. Someone noted that the bones had been crushed at the ends as though they had been struck with hammers after they were dismembered, and that quicklime had been scattered over the faces and stuffed in the ears. After finding the parts of 5 bodies on the first day and an additional 6 on the second, some were in shallow graves under the original hog pen, others near an outhouse or lake, the police stopped counting. With these discoveries, the perceptions of Belle Gunness, as reported in newspaper descriptions of a praiseworthy woman dying in the fire that consumed her house in a desperate attempt to save her children, were reassessed. Despite the initial success with the identification of Andrew Helglian, and despite the fact that widening news coverage of the mass murders invited inquiries from families with men that had gone missing, most of the remains could not be identified.
This lady would put ads in the newspaper to find a lover.
To kill him!
Basically, she put ads in the newspaper looking for a husband, or
I don't think husbands. I don't know. I don't know.
But and then these men would come, respond to her ad, and like come to the farm, and she would basically kill them. So that's crazy. These men just went missing, and people were like,
"Hey,
okay,
maybe they went off
to Chicago."
Maybe they went off doing something else. You know, men like to change their minds.
I guess so. But they weren't like completely sure. I don't think that this was Belle, because the head was decapitated. I don't know if they found the head right away.
I don't think they found the head.
But they assumed, because it was a woman and 3 children.
Yeah.
But as they were like fixing or like looking at the house and those dead bodies, they found mass graves, basically.
Yep, they found mass graves under the hog pen, by the lake, by the outhouse.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like she had put the bodies in these graves. No, she like hacked them to bits, crushed the bones,
put quicklime on them to like dissolve their flesh and stuff.
And what I think is like so disgusting, it says masses of human bone wrapped in loose flesh that dripped like jelly.
Oh,
that's disgusting. Like, I can't imagine what these people were thinking when they found this.
Ray Lamphere was Belle's hired hand and on and off lover. In November 1908, he was convicted of arson in connection with the fire. He later confessed that Gunness had placed advertisements seeking male companionship only to murder and rob the men who responded and subsequently visited her on the farm. He stated that Belle asked him to burn down the farmhouse with their children inside. He also asserted that the body thought to be Belle's was in fact a murder victim chosen and planted to mislead investigators. The brother of one victim had warned Belle that he might arrive at the farm shortly to investigate his brother's disappearance. According to Ray, this impending visit motivated Belle to destroy her house, fake her own death, and flee. When Ray was arrested, he was wearing John Moe's overcoat and Henry Gerholt's watch. A journalist had talked to Ray to get a confession out of him and proceeded to publish it. In the confession, Ray said that he had killed Belle and the children with an axe, sprinkled their bodies with kerosene, and set fire to them and the house. His confession gave details of the slaying and told of his part in the former murders which occurred at the Gunness farm, his task usually being the burying of the bodies in the garden. Belle Gunness was pronounced dead, even though the doctor who performed the post-mortem testified that the headless body was 5 inches shorter and 50 pounds lighter than Belle. No explanation was provided for what happened to the body's head. Whether Belle died in the fire or escaped remained uncertain, although the sheriff blamed a Chicago American reporter for inventing the escape story. Reported sightings of Belle in the Chicago area continued long after she was declared dead. At the time, police looked into reports of women suspected to be Belle, none of which led to her apprehension. Recent DNA tests were performed on the headless corpse, but the results were inconclusive. Belle had a hired hand and an on and off lover. Ray.
I feel like he was probably like the main lover. You know what I mean? Like the other guys, like I don't know what the relationship was like, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
so
Like he was the main.
So what I'm thinking is they were on, and then when somebody would answer the ad, she would be like, "We gotta take a break, so we gotta cool off, so I can kill these dudes."
So this guy basically confessed to murdering Belle
and the children with an axe.
Which I wonder if he like was in love with her.
Oh,
maybe,
probably.
You know, and then was like, because a lot of people do that when they're in love with like a murder like that. They'll be like, "Oh no, I did it," or whatever. So I wonder if that was his thought.
Yeah.
I guess, which to me just seems like dumb because you're probably going to jail and she's running free.
The doctor who performed the post-mortem was saying that the body that they think was her or whatever was 5 inches shorter and 50 pounds lighter than what Belle
And they
actually...
were just going with it. Like, the body's 50 pounds lighter, it's her. For sure.
50 pounds lighter.
That's like a big difference.
Yeah.
And 5 inches shorter. Mm-hmm. That's pretty big too. And they couldn't find the head. I feel like that gives you like an immediate like, oh, something sketchy's going on. Mm-hmm. If the people had just been burned in the house, the head would still be there. So where's the head? You know what I mean? But I don't know if the police just like didn't want to deal with it or what, but the fact that they just went with, oh yeah, this body is a woman.
I feel like since they didn't have the head, they were like, we're gonna have to go with it. And I'm like, no. The bitch was out there.
Yeah.
Probably died of natural causes. She probably killed more men.
That's what I wonder. So I don't think that she died in this fire. I don't think that she escaped or whatever, and that's why this Ray guy was like trying to take the fall for her so she could be free or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if she went back to killing again, and she's known by like another name that we don't know.
Oh,
like,
probably.
I think her like killer name is what, like Lady Bluebird or Lady.
You think Lady Bluebird?
I think Lady Bluebird is like her
alias,
her name that they've given her. I could be wrong, but I think so. So I wonder if maybe she has like reinvented herself and like goes by a different killer's name. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No one has like really put the two and two together.
Just solved it.
She's alive and she killed more people.
Well, she's not alive anymore.
Well, not anymore. But
unless she found the elixir to living forever.
Yeah, or the fountain of youth.
Yes, the fountain of youth. That's what I was thinking. I don't know why I said elixir.
I mean, if the camera
adds 10 pounds, I guess death can take
50 and 5 inches off your body.
Oh God.
I can't.
So if you want to see more videos similar to Belle Gunness, make sure you hit this video right here.
We will see you guys next week. Peace.